Hey, college wrestling fans, it's JT1Wrestle here. We're going to talk a little NAIA wrestling today. We have on a great guest. Please welcome to the show, head coach of Missouri Baptist, Caleb McElfresh.
Yeah, how we doing?
Doing great, doing great. All right, going to start things off by talking a little bit about last year. I'm on the success that you guys had last season. Both Tyler Dean, a conference runner up, and E.T. Rogers, a conference champion, are now on your coaching staff. Talk about their transition from being two of your best wrestlers to now being on the staff and helping future wrestlers to be successful.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we've kind of struggled with since I've taken over is really just having extra eyes in the room. Obviously, being a head coach, I can only do so much. In smaller schools, pretty much all of them struggle with that. And I think one of the things that I've kind of stolen from a lot of the programs that do have success, Life, Grandview, Southeastern, they've done a really good job getting their recent grads to come back and continue to help out as grad assistants. Some of them volunteer, whatever it might be. Um, for my guys, Tyler's a part-time assistant coach and ET is a graduate assistant. And it lets you have guys that have lived it, felt it. They understand how I operate, how I run things. They can add their own flavor to it. And I think they've lived it. As they both qualified for the national tournament. Tyler ended up, dropping a really tight one with like 2 seconds left on the clock in the blood round. So it's like they got to go through all of it and they got to feel it. Whereas, my experience in the NAI kind of dated now. I'm not that I'm crazy old, but 2018 still to these guys a long, long time ago. So, and the NAI has just evolved a ton since then. I think it's completely different now. I was still wrestling when there were super regionals. You had to place top three or top four in your super regional to qualify versus the new allocation system. So these guys getting to kind of go through the current model, live it, and then even though they are just removed, they still have enough of a, have enough intelligence to be like, okay, here's what worked for me, here's what didn't work for me. And then they can come to me with that. Hey, coach, as an athlete, here's something I really didn't like that much. What do you think about if we adjust to this? And I'm all about trying to be one of the best programs in the country. And I think with that, you have to be willing to change. You can't stay married to what you're doing because as times change, as athletes change, as personalities change, as the people in your room change, you got to be able to adjust accordingly. And I think that's kind of been the biggest thing those two have helped me with is just the guys are more comfortable going to a teammate than they are a coach. And those guys kind of, even though they are coaches, still have that more friendly vibe just because they were teammates with some of these guys to where like, hey, coach, such and such is struggling with this or whatever. And it gives us a little more insight on what our guys are going through, which I think has helped us kind of pinpoint how to help them get better too. So
Now you're talking about being able to adjust at the right time. Speaking about adjusting, Missouri Baptist joins the Heart of America Conference this season, which, in my opinion, is one of the toughest. Uh, Coach Bedison over at St. Ambrose was like, no, it is the toughest conference in all of the NAIA. What are your thoughts on joining such a powerful and competitive conference this season?
yeah, it's different. Obviously I'm with Coach Bo. I think it's if it's not the toughest, it's right there with Cascade. I think those are the top two conferences, bar none. And I think some of the other conferences still have some top tier teams that are about as good, but it's the depth. You know, you got six nationally ranked programs in the heart of America right now, and plenty others that are right there at the heels of beating. Like St. Ambrose isn't nationally ranked, but they beat us. They had a really good duel with us. I can make any excuse I want about missing a couple starters here or there, whatever. But at the end of the day, they beat us. We went to their gym and they beat us. And I think it just shows the volume of depth. It's like whether you're 10 in the heart or five in the heart or two in the heart, you have an off day, don't have your guys, you might lose a duel. Whereas in the AMC, man, I remember the last we did the conference duels, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a starting lineup for not even the AMC teams, Tex Wes, Oklahoma City, Wayland, and then for the AMC teams, let's mix some guys in and just get some work. And we don't really get that luxury anymore, and I think that's awesome, but it also does mean wear and tear is a little different. So I think biggest adjustment for me is just managing workload. Like every time we go out, it's gonna be a 7 minute banger. You're gonna have to go out there and wrestle hard and find a way to get one. Last week we dueled Central Methodist. That was a fight, start to finish. And there's still chirping and stuff happen after the duel on the internet and whatnot, just because it was so competitive that it just brought that out of people. And in the AMC, we didn't really, you don't really have, even with the sooner teams, we didn't really have that as much. It was a lot, even though it was really competitive, it was a little more friendly, I guess. And just kind of being in the heart, I think is a little more cutthroat. You got to kind of earn your keep. And I think we are kind of slept on as a program still. I think we're starting to earn a little bit of our respect. And I think come into the heart, they're like, well, what are these guys? They're from the AMC conference. They're not very good. Da 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 da. And now they're like, well, maybe they came from a crappy conference, but they ain't too bad.
At the beginning of the season, there were four Spartans ranked in the top 25. Among them all American hopeful Daryl Mills. He's had some major success so far in his career. Third at Oppenheim, fourth at the Missouri Valley Invitational, which, in my opinion, is the toughest tournament in season for NAIA.
And he should have
He was
had third. I'll
also,
jump him for that.
what's that?
He should have had 30, threw that match away, but it's okay.
I think fourth place there is still very, very accomplished. Recently, third at the Falcon Invite. So, speaking of Darren Mills, he's been right there for a couple of years. What is it going to take for him to break through this season and get that top 8 status at Nationals?
I think it's just something we've kind of worked with him on the whole time. I mean, I've known Daryl since he was a freshman in high school. I actually coached against him when I was coaching at the high school level. My little brother pinned him, and that was Daryl's first year of wrestling, and my little brother stuck him. And that's actually how I met Daryl. And then when I took over collegiately, I was like, I need this kid because of the way he works. I mean, there's nobody that eats, drinks, lives wrestling more than that kid does. He works hard. He eats right. He's getting extra runs in. Last week, he's like, we picked up a big win against a Roger Hart, and even going in as a coach, my legs are a little shot, and because he's working too hard. That's what, I actually have to grab him and be like, hey, one less workout today. You're in a great spot. You're fine. And luckily for us, it didn't cost him the match. He went out and got a big time win in overtime. But I think the difference for him jumping levels, and I think, you know, all caps off to Giuseppe, Gigi's a heck of an athlete, but Gigi wanted to slow the match down and we let him. And for Daryl, when he's got his tempo high and he's getting his shots off and he's getting on legs, he's a hard guy to beat. And I mean, you saw it in the first period. Gigi had no answer for us. Now, the match was tight. There was questionable takedown call, but we were in probably deep 5 or 6 times making Gigi have to work out of that. And if he would have kept that up the whole match, I think we win that match. But second period hits, we got to maybe one committed shot in the second, and maybe one committed shot in the third. So you go from 5 or 6 in one period to two the rest of the match. You slow it down, you wrestle that guy's match, and that kind of gets in your head a little bit. And I think we saw that Summit Nationals last year. To be honest, I think the weight cut, big thing for us, getting rid of it. He was huge at 133, and he struggled a little bit off the scale. I mean, we saw a bunch. Like we had Lucio on the ropes early. Lucio ended up finishing third at the national tournament. We caught him in the quarters, and blasted him probably 10, 15 seconds into the match, put him on his butt. And I'm like, okay, now we're feeling real good. Normally, when Daryl gets that first one, you start to open guys up because now they have to come attack him. And when he gets guys opened up, good luck keeping the kid off your legs. And his cut got to him. He slowed down a little bit, started to get a little complacent, started stepping a little heavy, and then we, ended up losing that match. I think like 11-7 or something. So I think for him to win it and go get it this year, which I mean that's the goal. We want to win a national title, and even he knows like even if you drop a match, that's just college wrestling. Everybody's good. We just got to make sure we're fine tuning along the way. We've developed a little bit of top game. I think he rides guys a lot tougher. I think you saw that. A lot of guys saw that at Friends where I think we picked up, we teched the Grandview kid the first time we wrestled him. Second time we got 4 minutes of riding time, picked up a major, and we did that on purpose. Like, no, let's continue to commit to the ride. Yeah, we can cut him and take him down again. We know we can, but let's commit to the ride so we can ride him out. And I think, his commitment to getting better on top is going to help him win a lot of these big time matches, be able to wear guys out more. Because we saw it once Fogelman got back to his feet after being underneath for 2 minutes, easier to open a guy up and soften up and go get to the legs more, which is where he wants to be anyway. Um, so I think for him, it's just get rid of the cut, committing to some of the positions that we weren't committing into in the past. Like he's never been bad on top, but he never wanted to be there. He's like, I'll cut him, I'll go take him down again. That's where he wants to be, is on his feet. And cleaning up a lot on bottom. I mean, he's a hard guy to ride, which is really big for us, especially a guy that wants to be on his feet. Guys don't want to be on their feet with a guy that wants to be there. But if they can't hold you down and you can ride them, they got no choice at some point but to go on the feet with you. And for us, that's going to be a big win. And I think it's going to help us get him over the hump at the end of the year.
Another super tough kid you guys have on your team is your heavyweight, Ahmad Sophie. I had an opportunity to speak with him at the St. Ambrose stool. He was telling me last year as a freshman, he stood up in the stands and he watched the blood round matches at the national tournament and said, "There's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't be there. Why shouldn't I have been wrestling in those matches in those rounds?" Just talking to the guy, he has the confidence to be a national champion this year. And he talked to me about how his philosophy has been the number one thing that has really helped him with his wrestling. Talk a little about Sophie and the perspectives you have on him as a heavyweight.
Yeah, Sufi. His tribe takes
Oh
that
shoot,
personally,
I'm so
so
sorry
I've had to
about
learn how
that.
to say it myself. I'm like Sufi. I don't want to offend those people, but no,
Uh,
Ahmad is one of our biggest success stories as of late. I mean, he's from St. Louis technically, like that's where he went to high school and stuff. Is Oakville High School. He got hurt his junior year, which is when he started wrestling. Only really wrestled 1 year of high school as a senior. Freshman year here with us, we redshirted him, picked up I think one win, and it might have even been I think it was just in a frost off bracket somewhere. It was like 1-11 as a true freshman here for us. And then that's really what it was. We had to start getting into his head, like, dude, you're an athlete. You're huge. You're strong. You're violent. Like, why are we not doing this in matches? He actually spent a summer back home in Iraq and got to train out there quite a bit. And then finally just started marrying all the work, like marrying, working hard, getting the extra eating right. For him, he was about 280, 285 when we got him. He's a mean 250 right now. And I think for him, it's more of he did the right things in his life that has given him that confidence. I train hard. I go, start to finish in practice. I pull the extra weight workouts in. I'm eating correct. I'm putting the right recovery things in my body. I'm going and getting worked on when something's a little dinged up. And I think just living right has given him that level of confidence that he's going to need to be successful. He's still a little behind on the wrestling stuff. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that just because of how much better he's gotten. But he's wrestled now. This is his third season. Reality is this is going to be his third full season, which is crazy for a guy that's already 22nd, 23rd in the country, and picked up another big win last week against Ryan Gibson over there from CMU, who's a heck of a wrestler in his own right, and had a top 20 D2 win the week before that. And so it's exciting for me as a coach. Like, dude, this guy is so good already, and he's still very green. So I think a national title is definitely within his cards. He's just got to keep working and getting better at the wrestling stuff because the mental, like you said, the mental edge, it's there. He's got that.
was a really great win that he had against Central Methodist, but they didn't wrestle their top guy. How do you feel about that sometimes when you're going into a duel and you know that they have some really good ranked kids, but they don't wrestle them? They end up
It's
wrestling the other
yeah.
guy instead.
It would be nice to get Foy. Obviously, Foy was a national finalist last year, but I do a little recruiting. I watch their Navy White or their whatever you want to call it, their wrestle offs. Ryan beat Foy. People don't know that, I
Really?
guess.
I didn't know.
But Ryan beat Foy in the
I did
wrestle
not know
off.
either. Oh wow.
Ryan is tough. So for me, it's like it does suck a little bit that you don't get the guy with a number to his name, but
Yeah.
Ryan's gonna have a number to his name by the end of the year. That kid's really, really tough. And I think that was a really quality win for us. And I think it helps give Ahmad that confidence of like, dang, okay. Because by the end of the match, I feel like that guy didn't want to be in the circle with us no more. I think he just had
Yeah.
broken that guy's spirits a little bit and was hand fighting physical, and we gassed him out. And obviously, next time we see that guy, he's going to come with a different attitude and probably come and try to get that one back on us. And we're just going to be ready for it. But although we didn't get the guy that was ranked, and it does suck when that happens because a lot of times like you want to go get that ranked win. You want the match that I wanted it the most from that duel was at 149. They didn't give us Alex Walker, and I really wanted that match for my kid because my kid was 25th in the preseason poll. Had a rough, really just a bad draw and a kind of a bad call in our first match that cost us, made us go 0-2 last weekend, and we dropped out of the rankings for it. So for me, it's like let's go get him a guy that's a little lower on the rankings that I think we can compete right with to give him some confidence back. And I think that's one where I was a little more upset that we didn't get the ranked guy as opposed to heavyweight, where I know, hey, Gigi's not ranked now, but he's gonna be. That kid's good. So
Sure, absolutely. Two other wrestlers you have in your team, super tough. They were ranked the last time I looked. Were Joel Campbell, Missouri Valley Invite place winner. Also, Braden Eicherman, super tough kid as well. Talk a little bit about them and the goals that they
yeah.
have this season.
Yeah. So Ackerman's a redshirt freshman. He's the one I just mentioned that he dropped out in the most recent poll. Just had a really tough draw, wrestled a Grandview backup and a UCO backup, which both those programs, even their backups, are just as legit as the starters most of the time. And then Joel Campbell, we're excited for him. We over wrestled him last year. That's something we're going to try to fix this year. Last year, I think he went like 35-15 or something. Picked up quality wins against dudes all across the board. His next time out will probably be life, just because we're trying to be smarter about how we use him, and when we're putting him out there. He might go this week as well on Thursday. We're just navigating a little bit of just keeping guys healthy. So it's like, okay, we have an opportunity to put a different guy out there. Maybe we will when we wrestle William Woods, which they're tough in their own right. But Joel, it's the same goal. It's like, man, last year we had beaten and had close matches with everybody that was in the bracket. I think we had like wins and common opponent wins over like half the field last year, and we went 2-Q. So now how do we adjust to make sure that we're not just beating guys at life and friends and Moval, but now we're beating them at the national tournament when it matters. And I think that's going to be our big adjustments for him. And, senior year, it's the last time to go get us. We got to figure it out. And then Eicherman, redshirt freshman, which, I'm hesitant to redshirt guys, but for us right now, we have two guys that paid off big times with, with Eicherman, and then my 125 pounder we redshirted last year as well. And he actually ripped off two big wins at the Falcon Open. He's currently ranked eighth in the most recent poll. So he went from unranked to eight, and that's a big jump for him. And I think just those young guys getting that experience early is big for us. So
Every season there will be guys that as a analyst, media guy, whatever the hell I am, there's always somebody somewhere that's like, where in the hell did this kid come from? Just like I didn't know anything about him, and all of a sudden, holy cow, this guy's like kicking butt left and right. Gino Cardenas is obviously who I'm talking about right now. I mean, he
yeah,
came in, got a tech fall over the number four, number six ranked guy in the country, turns around and beats another ranked guy by another, huge score. Talk
yeah.
about this kid and why he was so under the radar up until now.
Yeah, so Gino, we redshirted him last year. Last year he was actually wrestling at 141 for us. So he was stuck behind Tyler Dean and then another guy we got named Jake Sin, who I think as long as we get his head right, is going to be somebody that's going to be kind of turning some heads once we get him going. And he'll probably get his first match of the season this Thursday as well. So you're a freshman behind two upperclassmen that are legit, you know. Tyler obviously D1 transfer, went to Nebraska, went to Cal State, was a state placer in California for Buchanan High School, was a Fargo All-American. And even Jake Sin was a multiple time placer in Missouri, wrestled for Cornell Robinson at CBC as a freshman before going to Parkway South. So like heavily accoladed upperclassmen in front of him. And he was probably at a weight you shouldn't have been. He didn't cut any weight. He felt great at 141. This year we talked about it all summer. It's like, hey, what weight you think at 33, 41? I'm like, for our roster, man, 25 is not that big of a, I know it's a big cut, but it might be the right move. And I think some of it's just he's big, he's strong. When he gets down to weight at 25, he's going to be hard out for anybody. He's just super powerful, extremely strong. And I think last year he went 12-8 at 141, and now you're a year developed, a year kind of into college, and now you're dropping down to 25. And part of it's his offseason training. That's helped him make those jumps too. He spends his summer at Stanford with his brother. He's actually a little brother to Daniel Cardenas. So he spent his whole summer training with Nico Provo and a lot of those guys were out there at Stanford. And I think that's helped his development a ton as well.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, I should have tried to put two and two together because Cardenas isn't a last name you hear very often. But wow, I mean, if you can, maybe send some of the other guys out there too, huh?
Yeah, we always tease him like, hey, when Daniel graduates from Stanford, like tell him to do his crazy fifth year, 6 year thing with us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So you guys got another guy on your team. He's not ranked quite yet, but in my opinion, I think he can break into the top 25 within due time. Talking about Braden Stotts. I've always kind of thought he was a
Yeah.
tough kid. I think he has the ability to be top 25 before the end of the season.
Yeah, Stotts is another one kind of like Ahmad, where high school accolades didn't have much. He's a two-time qualifier in Missouri, went 0-4 at the state tournament. Uh, was hurt his entire wrestled his entire junior season out and did all right. And then his senior year, he was hurt the entire year till the end. And then he just laced up at regionals, qualified for state, and went 2-Q again. Just getting healthy from his knee stuff. And kind of the same vein, had a rough freshman year, kind of make the college adjustment where he actually didn't win any matches. To last year as a sophomore, I think he picked up 21 or 22 collegiate wins, finished third in the AMC Sooner, and just continues to make the jumps. But kind of a similar effect where he had a knee surgery this summer. He still hasn't put together a full week of practice yet as we're trying to get him healthy. We've kind of thrown him out there into the fire a little bit. He's picked up some really, really tough matches. I think he's like 0-3 or 0-4 right now, but it's like he's wrestled two guys in the top 25 in an All-American and Cornman, and a really tough kid in the Dome kid. And maybe he's getting in his own head about it a little bit, but it's like, man, you've wrestled a gauntlet of a schedule, coming off of surgery, didn't get to train all summer, haven't even put together a week of practice yet because he accidentally was taking too much medicine to where he was coughing up blood going into the Friends tournament just because he'd put too much medicine in to where it would put a couple holes in his kidney and stuff, whichever one it is that your ibuprofen jacks up. So now we've got him switched over to Tylenol, and we're like trying to help him kind of navigate. Hey, even when it hurts, like maybe we just moderate differently rather than putting more medicine in, and just kind of help him kind of mature through that process. We finish just getting him healthy. But I'm with you. Once he's healthy, he's strong. He's big for the weight. He's a pretty big 197 pounder. He's stubborn as all get out. We just got to continue to develop his offense a little more. Once he gets a little more offense on his feet and he can take guys down a little bit at a more consistent rate than he currently does, I think he's going to be a very hard out for most people.
I'm going to switch gears on here a little bit. We've been talking about wrestlers weight by weight. I want to talk about Missouri Baptist location. You guys are right in the heart of St. Louis. Um, and I've talked this over with Aaron Swayze a couple different times, a couple other people as well. St. Louis is kind of weird because it kind of is, but kind of isn't at the same time a wrestling city. I mean, a lot of good high school wrestling there, but a lot of the colleges, unfortunately, don't have programs. And so I was kind of wanting to get your perspective and your opinion if we might be able to do something to maybe see schools like, for example, Harris Stow add a wrestling program.
Yeah, it's unique. I think St. Louis is a pretty good wrestling city, but you're right. It's kind of different. A lot of the guys are Perler kids, with Moscow Mills being 30, 40 minutes from our campus. A lot of those guys go Perler, and just kind of the Perler mentality is it's D1 or bust. And some of those guys, like, man, let's be real with the kid. They're not a D1 talent. Like, they can go somewhere smaller and still have great success and enjoy their career. I mean, sadly, a lot of the Perler kids don't do that until after they try the big school thing out, and then they drop back down and go somewhere else, as opposed to just starting at a better fit. And I think that's been a little bit of the issue. It's just SIUE gets a lot of those Perler guys. Mizzou still picks up some. NIU picks up some if they're not leaving completely. So I think getting more of those like borderline talents to actually stick to a Maryville, to a Missouri Baptist, something along those lines is going to be big for continuing to grow collegiate wrestling in the city. And just having the programs themselves putting their own brand out there. I think that's one thing I've done really well since taking over. Is just trying to get a social media presence with Missouri Baptist Wrestling. Like, let people know we exist. Um, we saw the positives and negatives at this week. We got a big win at 41, for example, and that reel that we put on Instagram's got like 24,000 views and like 700 likes on it. But we also posted a picture, a handful of pictures from the duel, and we had parents and families commenting on, didn't that guy in this picture lose? I'm like, yeah, he did, but it's a cool picture. Like, we didn't say who won the match. We just posted a picture of a guy. So you get both sides of it, but I think it's really good for us to continue to build that. Like, people are paying attention to what we're putting out there. And I think it's going to continue to help grow wrestling in the city. Um, Schools like Harris Stowe, I don't see it. I don't know what the next program, like the best school to maybe add a program in the city would be. UHSP added one and got rid of it already. That lasted about 2 years. Um, Harris Stowe, just not a great part of town. Being a state funded school and HBCU, they have a lot of their different challenges that other schools don't really face. So maybe they would, maybe it's something they would consider. But I don't know for sure. When I used to work some games for them, and I worked, like, even when I worked the soccer game for them, when they did the national anthem, we're all facing the flag at SLU's campus. We're not, they don't even have they didn't have a flag on their own soccer field. So I just think they have a lot of different challenges that maybe adding a sport's probably not in their best interest right now. But I think Maryville has a top 20 program. They're getting better and better every year, and they're down the street from us. We're obviously improving greatly. And a lot of our other talent, maybe they slide over to McKendree. They go 45 minutes the other way into Illinois real quick. So I think there's still a lot of really good options in the area. But as far as, I don't know what the best school to add would be, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. In my personal opinion, because of the endowment that they have and the fact that they're a part of um, the UAA, I can't think what that stands for right now. Their Division III would be Washington University.
Yeah, WashU maybe. I mean,
There's
they bought
absolutely no
out.
reason why they
Yeah, they
shouldn't
bought
have it
out all.
because they could.
Yeah, and they bought all of Fontbonn's stuff. So they bought all that when Fontbonne went down. They bought all that part of the campus too. So they definitely got the space to grow and the way to do it. That might be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, obviously it's something that I'm trying to do and trying to help out with. I do feel that and I think it's gotten better over the years because of, not to brag or anything, but I think I'm part of the reason why it has, as is a lot of other, wrestling medias out there. I don't think that people realize, because there was a time when the NAIA was kind of like not all that great, and we
Yeah.
could probably, say when that was. I was probably talking about like 25, 30 years ago. But going back probably about 20 years ago, that's when the NAIA started getting really good. You started getting the Grandview, started getting the Life, started getting some kids that were, you know, the Emmett Wilsons of Montana State Northern, for example, the
Yeah.
uh, Tyson Thieverches, people
Yeah.
like that,
Your Michael Pixley's,
yeah,
your Brandon
exactly. That
Lee's.
that
Yeah.
showed that showed just how tough the level of wrestling was at the
Demetrius Thomas.
NAIA. What's that?
Demetrius Thomas.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, there's been some really great wrestling, so I really think that's another part of it as well, is just letting these kids know, the D1 mentality, like you said before. There's a lot of these kids that kind of have the D1 or bust mentality, because, and I think it's because they don't always realize just how good the wrestling has became at the lower
Yeah.
levels, like in the NAIA.
I'm big on getting to my practices. I'm like, hey, you think we're nothing, come to a practice.
Yeah.
We had a kid that was a Super 32, like 4-2 in the bracket, placed third or fourth in Missouri last year, came out to a practice and he came on a day that we just did 2 live matches and he got whooped. And afterwards, like, coach, I did not expect that. I was like, telling you, we're not some chump change program. Like these guys can wrestle at a high level and they're going to help you get where you want to get if this is where you decide you want to be. And I think just getting people to realize that at some of these smaller programs is huge. I'm big on getting guys out for visits because I'm like, I'm not going to win you over with all this. Oh, coach says they're good. No, it's like, come get your hands on somebody and feel it. Come see how we run a practice. Come see how our culture is. Come see how these guys pick each other up every day before and after practice. Come see how they joke around in the locker room and see how they beat on you. And it's going to make a big difference on getting guys here. So
Well, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for being a part of JT1 Wrestle today. It's been an honor and a privilege having you on. I expect some really big things out of your wrestlers this season. It's too early to be making end of the year predictions, but I will say you got some guys in your team that I do expect to be holding those little All American plaques by the end of the year.
that's the goal. Like the guys know the goal is better than yesterday, and that's how we kind of move on the whole season. So we're having a good start, but we can't hang our hat on it. That's not the goal. That's just an accolade in the way towards the end goal. So we're excited about the direction we're heading. We haven't had an All American since Steve Weathers about 4 years ago. So be nice to get another one.
2026 seems like a good year to me.
Same to me. And I want a couple of them.
Oh, you bet. All right, have a great day, Coach.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.